All right, here we go. The real deal. Mic check. I'm gonna let that run one more time. 'Mic check. Mic check. Okay. Okay. That sounds okay. I think y'all can hear me now. 1,000 pardons, y'all. I'm still learning this technology. Still just don't seem loud enough. I don't want to be yelling into the microphone. We're gonna roll on out though. This one, let me preface this series called Truth in Movies. The first installment, as you can see, of course, is The Last Airbender. In this series, I'm going to be talking about different truths that might be found, different ideas, opinions, ideologies. We might range from religion to just jokes, fun, and games, and everything in between. But in this series, I'm not coming as a critic, a movie reviewer. I'm not, you know, criticizing any of the actors or directors or nothing like that. Just like I say, reviewing some of the truths that might be found, conversational pieces, things that we might, want to. I said that already. Expound upon. And this is my first time going live. It's my first time using this app. Bunch of firsts going on here, so You might have to work with me a little bit, give me the benefit of the doubt. We might cover a wide range of movies and genres, you know, even some TV shows, uh, cartoons, even maybe some kids shows. And I guess, at some point, I might try to illustrate that these shows are not even made for kids in the first place. They may be marketed towards kids, but they're not made for kids. But of course, I'll leave that up to you to decide. Spoilers. I'm gonna give you a spoiler alert now. I'm not really gonna be telling the storyline as much or only as much as needed. But you might get spoilers in there if you haven't reviewed the material. So there's my disclaimer for that. I may intend to spoil some other things about these particular artworks, but the storyline is not one of them. So just be aware of that. And I'm gonna jump right in because I don't want it to be too long. Still trying to round out the preface to the series. Of course, like I say, it's Truth in Movies, so it will be seeing more with that title. I might have to touch back on the actual preface itself throughout this video or others. I wanted to start with this particular movie and or series because it's current, it's on TV now, it's pertinent, it offers maybe insight or, like I say, at the very least, things that we could talk about that are relevant now. So this is a particularly good one to break the ice on the series itself. So let's jump right into it. Google search. I wanted to point out a couple of things early on about this particular series. Now, I watched the movie, the older movie, the one that came out in what 2017 or whatever, 2010, something like that. And I watched the series, which just came out on Netflix. Well, I watched the first movie, and it inspired me to want to watch the series. And so I had watched the series actually multiple times. it came across, it was marketed as, of course, like a kids show. So when it came on TV initially, I wasn't interested whatsoever. But afterwards, I watched the movie and then went back and watched the series after that because there was so much there. And so I recommend watching, if you haven't seen any of those, I recommend watching it before watching this video. But again, I'm not trying to spoil any of it, so you can watch the video actually and still decide afterwards if you want to go back and watch the show. So again, not rating any movie or any of these movies on any sort of level, but from my own personal perspective, I think the movie was decent. Again, I'm not commenting on the actors or the performances. Again, just overall, the overall art is really kind of my goal with that. So again, I'd rate the movie one of the better movies, in our time. The series as well. The series is one of the best, series if you ask me, and for different reasons why, but we'll get into that. And again, that Netflix series, I thought it was really good too, for what it is. And again, we could say 1,000 different things about the actors, the performance, the screenplay, the graphics, everything in between. But that's again not what this commentary is about. So don't judge me, I won't judge you. How's that? But really good. I recommend to anyone. Again, it comes across as a kid show, but you gotta kind of watch it to really know. So I want to point out, like I say, first what it says here, or a couple things that it says here. It says Avatar, The Last Airbender, also known as Avatar, The Legend of Aang in some regions, is an American animated fantasy action television series created by Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian. I'm not even going to try to say his last name. And produced by Nickelodeon Animation Studios. Says Avatar is set in a largely Asiatic inspired world in which some people can telekinetically manipulate one of the four elements: water, earth, fire, or air through practices known as bending, inspired by Chinese martial arts. It says the only individual who can bend all four elements, the avatar, is responsible for maintaining harmony among the world's four nations and serves as the link between the physical world and the spirit world. It says the series is centered around the journey of 12-year-old Aang, the current avatar and last survivor of his nation, the Air Nomads, along with his friends Katara, Sokka, and Toph. I'ma just stop there. You could read it. I actually already did. I know I say that all the time. Sorry, y'all. But gives you a little more insight. The thing that I took from it is that these guys basically just dreamed it up. These two guys right here, which is outstanding. Again, after watching the show and being a fan, to come to realize that these two guys just dreamed it up. I thought that was magnificent. So I did want to point that out. Again, just deeper insights, of how it came about and, this, that, and the other thing. So a relatively recent development. It's released in 2005 through 2008. Oh, and I also wanted to say this with all of that. Watch Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. Of course, those go together, but you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it all. You gotta watch the whole thing to really grasp the big picture that is being portrayed. And so I want to play the trailer that's coming out, that just came out for you. I don't even know if I could even play this here. I guess I'm gonna take the chance anyway. And just to give perspective, a little structure as to what we're talking about here. So here we go.
The world needs the Avatar. It needs you, Aang.
The Fire Nation has destroyed everything in their path. If the world is gonna have any chance, it's gonna need Aang.
Right. There goes the savior of the world.
I chased down every hint of the Avatar. It's my destiny.
I'm not someone who can stop the Fire Nation. I don't want the responsibility.
You don't have to do this alone. You have me, Tara, and a flying ball of fur. What more do you need?
The world needs you. Remember what it is we're really fighting for. The ones we love.
I'm the Avatar, and I'm gonna save the world. With my friends.
I liked it. I like it. I love it. I'm trying to be silly now, but no, I thought it was real good. The series itself, and so again, I recommend it to anyone. And if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out. I don't mean to spoil anything for you, but I want to break a few things down, point a few things out. Again, I want to get the concept out of the way that it's a kids show, even though it's marketed towards kids. A lot of the concepts in the show itself is beyond what we think, kids should be learning, or especially if we compare it to, modern Western, education. So they teaching about chakra, energy, and a lot of esoteric things. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that either. It just offers a unique perspective. And so a lot of things that they put in movies, we could argue either way. It's just this or that. It's true or it's not true. It's an opinion or it's not an opinion. But we gotta, at some point, we watching all of these movies, we got to actually break it down and figure it out. We have to actually see what they trying to tell us in these movies. You know, and of course, there's nothing wrong with that. That's obviously the reason they putting these types of things in movies, and marketing it to kids. So when when I watch movies, and of course I have children, so sometimes I may just be screening it, for my kids. So I try to watch it with an unbiased perspective. Try to see what they talk about. So, yeah, this one was really good. Again, check it out. One of the main things when I watch series like this, one of the main things that jump out at me is always the maps. And for whatever that's worth, my mind just be going a thousand different ways. This is the map from the series, the realm of the Avatar, because sometimes they be telling the truth, sometimes they be, just making stuff up, creative writing. But in this movie, I found a lot of parallels with the truth. Yeah. I mean, nothing really particular about this map. Again, it illustrates. I can't see it. I'm gonna get it pulled up. Oh, there it go. So one of the parallels that I found in about this map, how it parallels real life, is how it's broken up into sections between the Fire Nation, the Water Nation, the Earth, and the Air. Well, It says Fire Nation, Water Tribe, the Earth Nation, and the Air Nation. So it's broken up into four components. All of the landmass itself is divided. And how that parallels to me in real life is kind of like how the land was divided between Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, of course, the numbers are different, but again, here's my unique perspective on that. If the earth was divided, see, this is how certain movies parallel reality. The land was divided amongst three tribes in the Bible. And this series and many other, shows, movies will see these same patterns. This one, it's divided into four. And I mean, I don't know. I don't want to stretch so early, but I'm going to argue that they're trying to parallel real life with this analogy. Although, like I say, in the Bible, it was divided into three groups, and in this particular series, it was divided into four. But we'll come back to that. So, maps always kind of just jump out at me when looking at any of these things, when searching for the truth, because overall, that's, what any of this is about. And I think another way this parallels actuality, reality, real life is, the architecture. And not, again, not only just this movie, but or series or show, but many, if I'd argue all of them. They they have to they have to reflect reality to some degree. Else we wouldn't be interested. But what my opinion on that is that they really don't have much of a choice. They have to reflect reality to a large degree just to keep us interested. So what are we really watching when we looking at, so this is a city in the series. I think that's Omashu. This is taken right out of, I mean, and of course it would be. You know, how could you actually just really make up what a city would look like? Because truthfully enough, you could just scribble some stuff on a piece of paper. There's a good chance that there is or has been a city that looks that way. So okay, that's a stretch. But if we look in mud flood history, Tartarian history, we're looking for things like star forts. Well, here you go. This, is an illustration, of some things that was made years ago. So we just now figuring it out, but it looked like somebody kind of already knew at least something about it based on this picture. And again, if we look at, I'm gonna come back to this image. It's not the one I wanted to show. If we look at a lot of the architecture and the imagery in these shows, I mean, we see reflections of real life, across the board. And so, what to me, one of the things that I think we should be paying attention to is the truths in their stories. You know, how they put it right in front of our faces. I'm sorry, I'm going to get this next picture pulled up. But I don't want to get sidetracked with the maps, and you know, because I could talk about this particular series. I could talk about it all day, every day for a week. I know it's just so much in it. But so let me pull up the picture. But again, when we searching for the truth and we trying to figure out stuff in the truth community, such as mud flood or even flat earth, or you know, and I hate to use those topics, I mean those titles, you know, but you almost got to, you know, they putting the truths right in front of our face. So we see, it's not, I can't show you the picture because it ain't pulling it up. I got it on there. We can, I think, in my opinion, this gives us a better example, you know, as to what happened, you know, what these, you know, great cataclysms might have looked like, you know, before, during, and after. And this series in particular, I think this particular series tells us about our environment and surroundings and some of the things that happened that brought us to our modern age today. I'm not sure if I'm doing this wrong or. Of course, I'm doing it wrong. Forgive me, y'all. Okay, you see that picture now? Okay, there we go. Now, of course, just artist rendition, right? I mean, why would it be anything else? But if you look at that picture, like I say, the remains that we see today, I mean, I could actually take this picture and overlay it onto some of these mountains and it will look almost exactly the same. So are they artist renditions? I'm not totally convinced. I mean, yes, again, to a large degree, but really, they have some, to some degree, seen these old cities exactly how they were, in my opinion. You know, like in this image, you see like the I, again, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but these are like for wooden carts. These like roller coaster looking things, wooden carts ride down those, and that's the way they got around through the city. Now again, for my from somebody who's been looking around, for some years trying to figure these things out, in my opinion, we can see evidence of cities exactly like this. Of course, they may be in the ruins. Oh, this was my next one. Of course, they may be in ruins right now today. So, again, you might have to use your imagination to fill in the blanks on some of them. But in my opinion, these types of places are still standing right now. We can go out and still, see if, they still look the way they do on here right now today. So that's another thing that I feel this particular series was pointing out and was really trying, to convey. I hate that, you know, a lot of kids might pick up on it, and grown, adults still might not ever be able to wrap their mind around it. And so we got to be mindful of that. But that's like this image here. Now, for example, we in America, you might hear people say that it used to be called Turtle Island. It's just a stretch. They crazy. I mean, I don't know where they got that from. Honestly, I'm trying to be funny, but honestly, I don't exactly know for sure. But I mean, here, right here, this in this series, this is the lion turtle. We see the whole city, the whole country on the back of this lion turtle. Again, it's just the artist rendition, I'm sure. And everybody's crazy, including me. But it's right here in our face. And so that just gives you something to think about. When we throwing stones, when everybody throwing stones, we got to kind of think about where these stones gonna hit. So in this series, the lion turtle is responsible for giving the first avatar the power to bend the elements. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never seen a giant lion turtle. So I mean, I don't know. I've never seen anybody bend the element. Well, I don't know. So I'll leave that as I don't know. But again, that's the problem. You know, by now we should know if this is true or not, if this is possible or not. So we still having this debate, and nobody knows why. Giant lion turtle. I'd argue again that we can find evidence of this right now today. We probably see it every day, but we just can't wrap our minds around it. Again, we have to, because there was a time in our history when these were things that everybody did know. These are things that kids did know back in the day because everybody did know these things. So you would be taught these things really, maybe mostly before you could even read and write. You would know these types of things. That the great lion turtle is responsible for giving everybody their bending. We would know these things. And so it's, finding its way on our plate today. And it's got to be for a reason. Because again, by now, with all the science and technology and intelligence that we have today, we should be able to refute these things absolutely hands down. We should no longer even be interested in science fiction based on, the current narrative. So these are things that just stand out to me when watching, shows like this, how much they parallel reality. And again, we can go back and forth. Some do, some don't. We all know that. There's always some truth in them. There's always some degree of lie in them. Always. We all know that. And okay, so you know, I think a few of these things, I just think we need to look at them again, figure out what they actually saying. So hang on, y'all. This is the map that I wanted to point out. It goes along with the first map on how the land mass is broken up amongst the four nations: the air, the water, earth, fire, and air nations, as color coordinated here. Better look at that. I mean, I just think this is so funny. And again, from the perspective of somebody I always looked at maps. I've always just studied them. I don't know why. I just always liked maps. So again, when I look at something like this, my brain just immediately just start doing thousands of calculations. Just hypothetical, just whatever, just anything. You know. And again, for me, it's just really funny how it kind of breaks down. You know, if you know how the Bible broke the land amongst Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and then you look at this map on how it was broke amongst these four nations, it's just kind of funny. I mean, I'm not saying I'm stretching on it, of course. Not an exact representation, but again, if you scour enough maps, you'll kind of see what they're trying to say here. It's not just something they made up. my opinion, a lot of these movies, like Indiana Jones, and some of these movies, even some of the ones we might think are just too far fetched. I think a lot of these things are really based in reality. Sometimes because one of the things, like I was saying earlier, that we got to really examine is how do the movies, come about? How we got to break it apart and look at it. How do they make it to the big screen? How do we sit in our home? And we can go even. I can make a whole video on the mechanics, how physically how it's done. But I'm meaning here. Excuse me. The processes and starting particularly with the writing process. Where did the concept come from? Who thought of this movie? This is what I be thinking when I be what who came up with this? And you know, I don't always get crickets. When you ask questions like that, you actually get answers if you really want them. How did they come up with this movie? And like I say, some of these movies, I think, and we really got to understand, we got to put this filter on when we're watching this movie, when we're watching these movies. Some of them, like this one, in my opinion, is from people going out doing archaeology and they finding things, even like all of those Egyptian tombs and all of that junk. We sitting around wondering if they really hold spells or stuff like that, traps and stuff. But there are people alive today that know for a fact if they do or not. Okay, so filter that. So, like I say, in the case of this particular project, I feel like, archaeologists and, scientists, they all put together different parts of these puzzles, and whoever the writers are, I don't know if they had already wrote it down. They maybe stole somebody's notes, or they were there, you know, during the dig, whatever the case may be. But this is something that they do to translate some of those things that they find, to John Q. Public. So they got to do so much of that to get it off their chest, because they not really telling us the real truth in school, in the museums. You really got to physically get a shovel and dig to find the truth nowadays. So this is one of the things that they feel like they have to do in order to do that. And like I say, when you compare it to actuality in real life, you might find that there's a lot more truth in some of these things than we care to agree. I mean, it might sound crazy that people can control the elements. I don't know for a fact if it's true or not, but again, to me, that's the point. I don't know if it's true or not. So, we have to evaluate what we're actually looking at sometimes when we're looking at these things. Hey, y'all trying to play this interlude. I mean, just why is this thing not working with me? Just why? Okay, here we go, y'all. Can you see that? I guess my streaming is running slow. Might have to come back and do a part two on this. I left that commercial in there to remind myself I'm gonna do a whole episode on just the commercials of YouTube. Do a whole episode just on the YouTube commercial. Am I crazy? See, I think this gives us a lot of insight into our lost history, the pieces that they left out, the pieces that they don't want you to know. You know, a lot of times they come to surface in either one way or the other. And so I guess they feel by controlling that flow, then they still got some sort of control. So I think if we would have went inside some of these, temples and pyramids and seen some of the writings on the walls, we would have seen these types of things, just like they did, or at least we would know if they're true or not. See, we sitting back watching it on TV, wondering, if it's true. And that's exactly where they want us. I mean, exactly. Now, again, with all the modern science and technology that we have, we still haven't proved that anything of this nature is not possible. So, okay, we haven't proved that it is possible. I get that. But when searching for the truth, again, for me, I found that this offers a lot more insight than some of the other mainstream, processes. So there's really actually a lot to be unpacked with this one. And really, I couldn't even touch it with a 20-foot pole. Yeah, I urge everyone to watch this one if you haven't watched it. I might have to do a part two on this one to actually really, you know, to really get down to the nitty gritty of, what I think this series is about. Yeah, but again, like I said, you got to watch this one and you got to watch The Legend of Korra. And when you put it all together, I, I think it actually illustrates the lost history of the last, I'm gonna say, between 200 and 400 years. Watch that. Watch it again if you have to. Because for me, after reading, researching, wondering, praying, a lot of times you run into dead ends for a reason. And some of these creative things kind of open my eyes up. There's a chance that we have an avatar alive today and they don't know it and we don't know it and somebody must know it. So it's just a thought. Yeah, I don't even know if I can stream that legally. Just doing it anyway. I really wanted to point out those things, and again, I wasn't trying to spoil anything. Just offer my unique perspective on some of these, you know, topics in this series. So I urge anybody to watch it again, check it out, see what it's about. Look at it through the filter of, you know, hidden history, hidden tech, forbidden tech, and see if it answers any questions, or to actually see if there is any truth in movies. So we'll come back to this again, and I appreciate you for checking this out, and I'll come back with another video as soon as possible. Talk to you later. Bye.